when news came out that someone wanted to assassinate IBRAHIM TRAORE, the president for Burkina Faso, several people came all over the world in his defense. But other people also criticized Traore, saying that all these ones were paranoia and that Traore was just doing these ones for clout and to seek attention from other world countries. But observers across Africa have said that this ones is not paranoia and that history might repeat itself, being that in Africa, any leader who has always tried to raise against the Western oppression have always found themselves not only in political oppression, but in most cases, they always find themselves unalived. Well, in this video, I just want to remind my African brothers, the leaders that we lost as a result of being rigid against the Western oppression. Ladies and gentlemen, before I deep dive into this video, don't forget to like this video, comment, and most importantly, then subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, starting with Burkina Faso, the same soil that IBRAHIM TRAORE walks on, we have this man, Thomas Sankara. Well, Thomas Sankara, a young, vibrant leader who rise in power in 1983. His life was cut short after 4 years of ruling. During his 4 years of ruling, he made sure that he cut luxury cars from government officials. He made sure that women's rights were apprehended to. And lastly, he said a bold no to IMF traps that could have led to any debts that might make them as slaves to the Western people. After 4 years of ruling, Thomas Sankara's lifeless body was discovered in a state house in Burkina Faso after a military coup. Well, Boise Compaoré, a man who people believe strongly that had a hand in Thomas Sankara's death, took over the office, and after taking over the office, he became again a slave to the French, a young vibrant leader with vision and mission to take Africa to the next level. His dreams were cut short. Africans all over were left lamenting about his death. Today, Boise Compaoré is a man who people believes and strongly have faith that had hands in the death of Thomas Sankara. Then let's look at Democratic Republic of Congo, the country where the legendary Partric Lumumba come from. Well, Partric Lumumba, who was the first prime minister of Congo, a leader who believed that the minerals that Congolese have in their country could lead to the economic development of Congolese, stood firm against the Cold War from Belgium, and due to this, all these people silenced him. He was arrested, tortured, and in 1961, Partric Lumumba was executed. Later, the truth was all over that the CIA and Belgian officials had a hand in death of Partric Lumumba. His body was dissolved in an acid. No grave, no justice. A true African hero who had a vision for development of Africa, just gone like that. People lamented across Africa about the death of Partric Lumumba. But wait, there was no justice till today. Now, let's move to Ghana, where Nkwame Nkuruma was the first president. Well, a Pan-African who had the interest of Africa in hands. Nkuruma believed that Africa can be connected through trade, self-reliance, and with purpose. Well, he was among the people who created African unity, what we now call the African Union. But in 1966, when he was in a peacekeeping mission in Vietnam, his government was overthrown. And later, sources revealed that the CIA fingerprints were involved in all these things. Well, Nkuruma, a true patriot and a true Pan-African, later died in exile. Well, his strong vision of building Africa scattered across divided Africa. Fast forward, let's go to Libya, where he found this man, Mohamed Gadaffi. Well, a leader who was a patriot. He believed that Africa can be connected with one gold bag currency. He also advocated for a large military base from different African countries. Well, Gaddafi also advocated for African countries and mobilized African leaders to come up with their own satellite, which he believed that if Africans had their own satellite, their personal data will be stored in Africa, and foreign countries will not have access to their critical information. Well, in 2011, the NATO airstriked and killed Mohamed Gadaffi. A visionary leader was killed just as a thief. His body lying right in the trenches beside roads Well, after the death of Gaddafi, Libya later fell in chaos, and Africa again lost its active leader who was standing straight and against the Western oppression. But let's take a break and let's move to South Africa, where we find this man, Steve Biko. Well, Steve Biko, a leader of black consciousness, a leader who did not use weapons but rather he used ideas. He urged black South Africans to think independently, reject inferiority, and reclaim their power. Well, in 1977, he was arrested and beaten to death while in police custody. Later, the apartheid regime in South Africa claimed or said that it was self-inflicted and there was no justice. Well, even if Steve Biko is no more, let me remind you that his words are still echoing. The most potent weapons in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed itself. Not only those leaders that we have lost as Africa, we had several leaders who countless leaders. Speaking of Mahindi from Morocco, we have Tom Mboya from Kenya. A lot of leaders who were killed, their visions were cuttered and slashed just like that. Well, in 2025, we also have this man, IBRAHIM Traore, a young, energetic, and vicious leader who holds the vision of Africa at hand. Well, recently, after surviving 19 assassination attempts, observers in Africa have said that they are afraid. Not that Traore can do anything bad, but they are afraid that history might repeat itself, that Traore might just follow the same path that those leaders follow. Because all these leaders who I just mentioned had one thing in common. They were all against the harsh oppressive nature of the Western people. Well, here is IBRAHIM Traore, young, energetic, a guy who can do anything to make sure that Burkina Faso rise again. Well, in 2024, he ordered France to remove all its troops from Burkina Faso so that they can start depending on themselves independently. Well, a leader who does not lose his weapon, does not greet anyone. But, my dear brothers and sisters, let us hope that Burkina Faso and IBRAHIM Traore remain to be the key. But, ladies and gentlemen, let us pray for IBRAHIM Traore, not only for us as Kenyans, but also as African as a whole, because this guy is the guy with vision of Africa. At last, I was your host, Silas. Till next video. Bye bye.